Research shows that community leadership is one of the 5 key works of school boards that can impact student achievement. The videos in these series will amplify and clarify the role of individual board members as community leaders who can strategically motivate, persuade, inspire, inform, and make connections outside the boardroom in a strategic and visionary manner that benefits the district by generating public and family support.
I grew up in Coal Mine Canyon. In my immediate family, my parents had 11 children. We grew up in the traditional Dene way of life. We grew up in hogans. We raised livestock for food. Sheepskin, goat skins we use for bedding, we use for clothing. They came out of the canyon down here in boulder size, and then my father honed the bricks by hand and tools, and eventually he got enough bricks here to be able to build the hogan. At age 9, my grandmother couldn't hide me anymore from the government, and I was brought to a boarding school. I was placed in the school and had to learn to adjust in a boarding school setting of education. I didn't teach my children our native language because I became very much ashamed of it. Today we have the public school where, as parents, grandparents, and a community have a voice in what kind of education our children can receive. Because of the need in the public school, I could have a voice, I could make decisions to help teachers and educate in our children and grandchildren. And that's how I made the decision to become a board member.
You're wanting to bring people up here and introduce them to, I think, something that a lot of us don't know much about, to share your culture. And that is a big part of what equity is about, right? Is just increasing the knowledge base that there are a lot of differences and yet there's a lot of similarities too. You know, we're all in the education business, we're all in the public education business, and we all fight for resources, but there are some little twists along the way depending on what part of the state we're in.
One of the biggest challenges that we face is poverty in our native lands.
There's a lot of challenges here. I mean, a lot of the communities still don't have running water, electricity, internet. A lot of the kids here still live with their grandmas and hogans.
What we face daily, an example of what we just learned this morning is 3 of our buses were stuck in the mud with students on it trying to get to school on time.
The majority of our roads are dirt roads, and a majority of our students that come from out of town. That really affects our enrollment, that really affects sometimes our student learning, because some of them get on the bus as early as like 6 o'clock in the morning.
You know, I also learned your strengths, some of the strengths of your community and your culture, and that is the strong familial connections that maybe some other cultures don't have, that enables you to persist despite the challenges.
Individuals have been told that their language is not important, and then maybe their language is important, and there's been some back and forth with that. You also tell individuals that their home lives may be important, and then you tell them that their home life's not important. And you kind of go back and forth with that. The school can be a pretty frightening place for some of the community members. So one thing that I try to do is always be cognizant of that and to be respectful of that. And so the number one thing that I try to do is to make it a welcoming place.
Since I started here in 2011, I saw the growth of our school. We went from, we went a long way. Now there are a lot of opportunities, not just for teachers, but for students.
When the school board is presented with things that, as an administrator, I bring to them, I've always found that the school board here at the Tuba City Unified School District has been very supportive in that. And they're obviously very instrumental in putting the building together that we're standing in today.
I was forbidden to speak my own language, and I was punished when I was caught speaking my own language. My commitment to the students here is to give them the education that we have a choice in as parents and grandparents and as communities. But public school we have a big voice in how we're going to educate our children. And so I see a future for our children because we can educate them to enter a global workforce. No longer are we bound by the four mountains.
Mary Worker's connection to her deep roots and cultural traditions inspire her to engage with Native students and families to address the modern challenges in her schools and community with deep respect, care, and understanding at the Tuba City USD board table.